So hey guys, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. It really means a lot to me that you're willing to help. Today we're going to get a little bit more serious with what we're going to talk about than I usually am on our channel. First off, I do want to officially state on record that I do not and I never have worked for any organization, and I am not a shill for any organization. This is something that my heart really cares about, so I do want to spread the word and get as many people to help as we can. Please stay with me through this. It is kind of going to morph an ongoing problem with a new development with it. So even if you already know about the ongoing problems, you're going to want to hear this, so please stick with me through it. Recently, I received a letter from the NRDC, which is the National Resource Defense Council, run by Ray Sue, letting me know of a problem that's coming up and that they're trying to work against it and what we can do to help. The NRDC has done a lot in the past. They're very influential in the United States, working both with and against the Environmental Protection Agency. They were the ones behind putting limits on for the polar bears, for wolves. They've done a lot with oil, all those kinds of things. They're just really big activists, very influential and very political. The problem that they arose to me today is dealing with Monsanto and Dow. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of them, but for those of you who haven't, they're the two largest biotech companies for agriculture, meaning that they do all the science behind genetically modified organisms for our crops and dealing with things like herbicides. The most thing that you would know is Roundup. Roundup is created by them. They started in the early 1990s, and it has increased and increased and increased over the years, because what's happening is they create herbicides and then they create GMO crops that are resistant to those herbicides, so that only kills the weeds. Problem is that weeds are very fast evolving species, so they're having to constantly make these herbicides stronger, make the GMO stronger, then the weeds evolve and we do it again, etc., etc. To kind of get you to understand how much this has increased. Since the 1990s, we have increased our use, how much we're spraying of things like Roundup, over tenfold. This year it has gone up to 180 million pounds of Roundup have been sprayed, and you can't stop yourself from being exposed. It's in our crops, which have extremely high percentages of GMOs. For example, soy, which is in a lot of things that we eat, is 93% GMO, etc. They also spray it along our roadways, like I said before, so you're getting exposed to it from that. I mean, it's just all over the place. The problem is that next year they plan on releasing a new type of Roundup called Enlist Duo. Roundup normally is made of one chemical component called glyphosate. It's very toxic. Obviously, it's an herbicide, so it's toxic. You can't get it on your hands or your skin or anything like that, because it's also toxic to us. This year, or excuse me, the upcoming year, with Enlist Duo, they're going to be mixing glyphosate with a chemical known as 2,4-D. 2,4-D is much, much more toxic than glyphosate. They are increasing it a ridiculous amount. For personal issues with our own health, 2,4-D, if you have exposure to it, it contaminates our food, it contaminates our drinking water, and it can also contaminate a woman's breast milk, so you're feeding it to your child. It's also behind non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's behind thyroid problems, or increases thyroid problems, and it also poses risks for birth defects. So it's not only affecting our generation, it's affecting our children, all that kind of stuff. What the NRDC is using as their shill to get across to people how important it is to not allow this to happen is the monarch butterflies. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. I grew up on a semi-self-sufficient land where my mother was very, very into flowers. She still is today. She built over 20 gardens on 3.5 acres. The place is pretty much one massive garden. I'll have to show you in the summer. It's beautiful. But to get to the point, as a kid, there were monarchs everywhere, every year. And this year, my mom was actually teary-eyed because we haven't seen a single one. The reason that these herbicides are having such an effect on these butterflies is because of the plants that they kill and the way that we spray it along the roadsides. It's killing all the milkweed. If you don't know, monarchs make this incredible migration that they actually go through 4 generations a year. to even make this migration from way up in the top of the United States down into Mexico and back. The entire way they make stops on this milkweed. It is the only plant that they can lay their eggs on. It is the only plant that their larvae is capable of eating. And their larvae, the caterpillar, actually develops a chemical component from eating that, which is what makes it resistant to predators. It's absolutely a scientific mystery. They're so amazing how they know through these 4 generations how to go back to the same exact spot that generations upon generations ago had gone. To allow you to understand how much of a dramatic effect this is having, normally from the United States, on average, 350 million monarchs make their way to Mexico. In Mexico, they've reached up to 1 billion monarchs, and usually they cover around 45 acres of lands in the mountains down there to do their winterizing. This year, only 56 million struggled to get there, and from 45 acres of coverage, it went down to a mere 1.65 acres that they covered. It's an 85% downgrade from what they usually are. And not only are they a beautiful species, but they are also butterflies, and butterflies are second to bees for pollination. It's very important to us for a lot of our foods to have these. So that's their shill for getting you to care, but it's not just that, it's the fact of our exposure, what it's also going to do to us, our health, nature in general, and the fact that it's a continuing cycle. All they're going to do is put in 2,4-D. The weeds are going to evolve and become resistant to 2,4-D, and they're going to have to add something else, and it's just going to continue this crazy cycle, and we're just slowly destroying the earth, destroying our own health, and these are only potential risks that we know about. Who knows in 5 or 10 years what kind of other risks it actually has to our health. So what they're doing right now is they have it online, which is the link that's been posted at the bottom the whole time. You can click on that anytime and go there. It's a simple petition. It'll take you 2 seconds. It brings you directly to the page of where you have to sign. All you have to do is put in some general information like your name and submit it to sign. I am going to take a moment, I'm sorry to read to you, but I do want you to know exactly what you're signing. This is the letter that is going to be sent to Dow. The reason that it's so important and why I'm spreading it for you to sign is we have to have 1 million people minimum sign this for it to go through. That's 1 million people. That is a lot, and that's why I'm trying to spread this word out. What the letter says is, to Dow Chemical Company, I am calling on you to shelve your plans for selling Enlist Duo, a new generation of toxic weed killer, in light of disastrous threat it poses to monarch butterflies. The skyrocketing use of glyphosate, one of the key components in Enlist Duo, has already led to a massive decline of milkweed, a key factor in the collapse of monarch populations. With the fate of these migrating butterflies hanging in the balance, we should be coming to their rescue by placing common sense limits on the widespread overuse of glyphosate. Instead, your company is rushing headlong to introduce a chemical cocktail that combines milkweed-destroying glyphosate with toxic 2,4-D, which poses potential serious risk to human health. Escalating a chemical arms race against milkweed that will wreak further destruction on monarchs is simply unconscionable. I urge you to help avert this ecological disaster by halting your planned rollout of Enlist Duo. In the meantime, I will be supporting legal action by the Natural Resources Defense Council to defend monarchs by blocking government approval of this dangerous herbicide. Sincerely, your signature. That is what you would actually be signing to go over there. Again, monarch butterflies are their shill. There is a lot of other risks that are coming with this that are going to make you not want that in our systems. So please, absolutely guys, I beg of you to help us out with this. It'll only take 2 seconds of your time. If you're like me, which even though I read this and completely agree, I went on the internet and did a bunch of extra research on top of the information that they had already given me here in these papers that they sent. When you do sign, it does say that they will keep you updated on what happens with this petition. It absolutely costs you no money. It only takes a couple seconds of your time. You can keep it completely confidential if you want. If not, and you want to help spread the movement, our other subscribers that have channels, please absolutely make a video, let your subscribers know, and etc. If not, even leave in the comment below, hey, so-and-so, your channel or your name supports the fight against Enlist Duo. If not, keep it completely confidential. It's totally up to you, but it will only take a second of your time, and I really beg you guys to help with this because, frankly, I don't want my children being exposed to this. I want to have kids someday, and I don't want them to have something even worse than Enlist Duo in their lifetime. It's unnatural, it's nasty, and frankly, I really don't think it's all that necessary. I won't go into that whole thing today, but I thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. I really hope that you will take the time to do this. It really means a lot for everyone out there, especially people in the United States. Again, we need 1 million people to do that. That's 1 million people. A lot of you out there, you big channels, you have millions of subscribers. 1 million shouldn't be too hard to get to, guys. If all you can go on, sign your name, and send it through. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't say it enough. Just thank you.